Awesome sourdough. That is the subject of this video, and I'm going to show you how I make it. I'm not going to take any credit. This all came from my mate Mark, who gave me the recipe and also gave me this starter. And typically, it smells so good. Typically, it's handed down from generation to generation or mate to mate. And I'm actually building this up a little bit because I'm going to give some to my mum because she wants to do it. So anyway, you have your starter, which is basically flour, water, strong flour, water, and bacteria. However it starts, I don't know. I've never started a starter, but I am using a starter. Anyway, so this is the starter. And you can see here you've got these little bubbles in here, and that's the bacteria kind of activating, doing its thing. And that's kind of the consistency I have. It probably a bit thicker than this as well. I've just mixed some more because I'm going to give some of this to my mum. So I'm going to kind of build this up over the next day or two. Just keep adding to it, feeding it, and then I'll separate some off and give it to my mum so she can have a go. You need 250 grams. This is for a small loaf I'm going to do, by the way. Obviously you can make it bigger, etc, etc, but if you start with 250 grams of strong white flour, you want 175 ml of filtered or bottled water. You need 6 grams of salt. I've got Himalayan pink Himalayan salt here, so 6 grams of salt. It's about half a teaspoon, and the best thing to do is to mix it with the water so that it doesn't, you don't have a non-salty bit of bread and then a salty bit of bread. And 50 grams of your starter, which is kind of a couple of decent spoonfuls. So anyway, that's all you need. So the idea is you mix it all together. So here we have a bowl. Here we have our salt and water. So I'm just going to give that a little stir around. You don't need to be too fussy about it. So that goes in there, bit of salt there. So that goes into there, and then the starter, which is pretty gloopy in a lovely yummy way, and it really does smell amazing. So it's really straightforward to make. At first I kind of got in a bit of a mess, but it's actually really easy. So what I'm going to do now is just mix that up, and that is it. Now what you can do is put in anything you want, so a seed mix or whatever. I've got a mix of seeds that I've typically been putting in, which is kind of caraway seeds, pumpkin, sunflower, flax, etc, etc. And you can put a little bit of herbs in. I use a Boveredshire seasoning, which is rather nice, but you just mix this all up, and then you get it to a kind of a decent consistency. You don't have to knead it, you just basically mix it all up like this, and as you can see it's all starting to kind of get together now. So all you want to do is mix that up so it's all kind of well mixed in, form a bit of a ball with it, I guess. And then all you need to do, and that's pretty much it, all you then need to do is cover it up with a damp tea towel. It has to be a tea towel from Labour and Weight in Marylebone. Doesn't really. Primark is fine, but don't tell anyone. Then just cover it up, room temperature, for about 40 minutes. And then in 40 minutes time, we're going to uncover it, give a little bit of a knead up. It's like a knees up, and I'll tell you what to do next, but it really is phenomenally simple. I'm also going to mix in my seeds at that stage as well. So there we go, that's it for now. Okay, so here we are, 40 minutes later. I am going to discard the cloth, pop in my seed mix, and then I'm just going to give it a little mix around here. I don't really think it matters when you put your seeds in, if you're going to put any seeds in. You can also kind of put sweet things in, like you can put sultanas, currants, whatever, in there as well. Chia seeds is the other thing I have in here. But I'm just going to then mix it all around, and it's a very kind of stodgy, thick consistency, which I will show you. There we go. And what you want to do, I I'm literally, I'm going to get people watching this who are avid bakers and go, no, don't do it like that. But my mate Mark that gave me this said basically what you do is then pull some of it up to see if it needs kneading anymore, and just kind of make sure that it doesn't tear too much. So that kind of seems fairly okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave that with a damp tea towel over it in an airing cupboard, and I'm actually going to leave this, I'm experimenting a bit, I'm going to leave this for a couple of days, and what happens is it kind of ferments a bit more, it's better for the gut, and so in a couple of days I'm then going to go to the oven, preheat the oven, and then we'll carry on the video from there. Well, hello, here we are, 48 hours later. Now I know what you're thinking. I've not aged at all. Unlike this bread. Check out that bad boy. Oh, still smells so good. Anyway, so as you can see, I added my seed mix and everything. And so there's loads and loads of seeds in there, and you can see the old bubbles. And then what I'm going to do is then and that's kind of risen up nicely, although I'm going to burst its bubble, so to speak, and get this out now of here. And then I've not left it for 48 hours before, so I'm just seeing how well this does. So I'm now going to put it in a pan with greaseproof paper. So I'm going to decant it from here. It's a bit sticky, but then so would you be if you were full of flour and water. There we go, this come out in one nice lump. I think the lump is a technical baking term. So I'm now going to pop that into the oven. So lid on, into the oven for about 20 minutes. It wants to be up high, so very, very high heat, probably around about 230-ish, something like that, to warm the oven up. Then drop it down, so to around about a couple of hundred, and so it needs to be lid on for 20 minutes, and then lid off. That's the lid off. Lid off for about 30 minutes until it kind of looks right. So anyway, lid on, in the oven. Okay, so that is in the oven, 20-minute timer, and I'm just going to show you though, if you recall, I was adding to the starter so I can give some to my ma, and this has risen pretty nicely, so look at that, it's all very, very gloopy. Anyway, so I'm now going to split this out and give some to my mum in this jar, and then I'm going to feed them both for a couple of days, so it'll just build them back up again, and yeah, hopefully my mum will then get into making lovely bread as well. So I'm going to come back to you once this is out of the oven. And here it is, out of the oven. Oh, look at that, look at this. So here we have a delicious looking sourdough loaf. It's very, very hot. There it is. One small loaf of sourdough. So hot. Look at that. How good does that look? That's proper bread. So I'm going to let that cool down, and then this is going to go to my friends George and John. Right, a couple of tips for you. One, as I say, make sure it's really hot. The other thing is make sure that the mix when you do it is kind of very doughy, very sticky, as opposed to too wet. First couple of times I did it a little bit wetter, and the other thing I did was put it in too big a pan, because this is only a small loaf, because I just want to do a small loaf at a time. So what I then started doing was putting it in a smaller area so it can't spread out too much, so that way when it's like that, then it can get a bit bigger, a bit taller. So there we go, that is it. That's going to wing its way to George and John's tomorrow, And there you have it. So I'll put the recipe that my mate Mark gave me. I'm going to type it up though, because his writing is atrocious. I blame the education system. We went to the same school. Yes, they had schools back then. So there we go. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that. Please don't expect regular cookery from me, because I've done dog treats and sourdough. I kind of think they're my specialist, my what do they call it? Signature dishes. Specialist. I don't specialise in anything. So hope you've enjoyed that, and I won't see you on the next cookery programme.